You're, you're not done yet. A message against depression. I write this while I'm lucid, both for the sakes of those who are not, as well as for myself when I'm under attack. And make no mistake, this is exactly what happens when we are depressed. My Christian faith makes me aware of the nature of these attacks, and by extension, the illness itself. For those who do not identify as Christian, whatever faith you follow, we can all agree that the illness can become downright debilitating at times. I have suffered from this affliction for the better part of my life. I'm 38 years old, and at the time of this writing, I have been diagnosed with and been treated for clinical depression for over 20 years. And I am alive, and so are you, because only a live soul can read this. Only a live soul can open a document and have thoughts formulated from what's being read. This is my point. Without life, there's no hope for recovery. Through the lucid periods of my life, I've been able to associate with the sentiment and joy that is being alive and full of life. To be genuinely happy. If you're reading this and you cannot identify with that in any way whatsoever, I say to you, believe. Trust that it is there. Joy, a lack of pain, and abundance of happiness. Happiness is simply wake up in the morning to see the sun or the moon if you're a nocturnal like me. I have endured many forms of treatment, from electroconvulsive therapy to cognitive thinking therapy to delving into every class of antidepressant available on the market today. I have been described by my doctor as his greatest challenge and his longest treated patient, and it is an accolade that holds no other significance to me than to serve as a motivator in my fight to wellness. And wellness is available for me and for you as well. And there's none of us who is irredeemable from this plague. And we have to remember a few things as we continue to fight. You are not your depression. One of the greatest challenges that we suffer against is the fact that we tend to associate our identity with that of the illness itself. What I mean is that we can feel like there is much less of me and much more of it whenever we consciously or subconsciously think of our own value. One of the biggest challenges we can face is the battle to convince ourselves that we are real and that we do deserve to be alive and present. Derealization is undoubtedly a symptom that we've either all experienced or heard of. A sense of intangibility and the illusion that and sensation that we are not really here, and or that we are actually looking at ourselves and our lives through the point of view of the third person. This in itself can be frightening and depressing at the same time. Some experience it constantly, like myself, or occasionally, but regardless of the frequency, it is a terrible thing to experience. And that is one of the symptoms that seems to lend credence to the daddy of all symptoms, morbid thinking or morbid thoughts. None of us, I'm sure, can deny the impact of morbid thoughts on our daily lives. I've often thought that I would accept fully the sheer brunt of depression or mood if it means that I could be rid of the thoughts entirely. Unfortunately, the reality is that the mood can also be so crushing that one may wish for the opposite eventually. And when we have to deal with both, which is often the case, it requires an extra dose of strength. Strength that the mind may think it doesn't have. That's because of the illness itself, and this is why we have to always remember and remind ourselves, and sticking up signs around the house does help, that we are not our illness. The illness is a surface existence. It does not define us because it cannot define us. It is impossible. Why? because we exist and we are. Nothing and nothing can ever change those immutable facts. What power does a mere thought have in the presence of reality and tangibility? I am not in any way trivializing the impact of the thoughts on our mental health. I cannot, as I suffer from it even now, and I'm fighting it even now, even though I consider this present time relative lucidity. What I'm telling you is that it needs to know its place, or rather, you have to remember its place. We are always in control of our actions. A thought cannot make us do something regretful to others or to ourselves. We can facilitate that. What can facilitate that is a lapse in belief, faith, hope, or temporary blindness. And what else? The grave mistake of associating ourselves with our illness. Morbid thoughts. Expressed the way my doctor coined the term when we first started exploring it. Morbid thoughts are the bane of the existence of people who suffer from depression. I'm aware that there are many types of depression. I was diagnosed with a chemical imbalance which presents on a spectrum of bipolar disease. For me, the thoughts have evolved from giving me visions of myself cutting or hanging myself. If I saw a sharp knife or a cord or a rope of some kind, or even a chemical available in the average household, I would immediately see myself using said items in harmful and undesirable ways. Then they evolved to make me see myself at my own funeral and seeing everyone around me trying to carry on life after losing me. Some would tell me, "See you tomorrow," and I would immediately and involuntarily think, well, I won't be here tomorrow, so, and so on. And trust me, it's no small task wrestling away from these thoughts. I have that absolute assurance, as do you, that I will not do anything to harm myself or anyone else unless I consciously choose to do so. That said, I also associate with the fact that it is an extremely difficult choice to resist when the illness is at full blast. But we are still here. As a Christian, I'm told that God will never give me much more than I can bear. Even if you are not a Christian, take solace in that sentiment and interpret it as an absolute reality and certainty that we as human beings are not engineered and designed to live, not to die. Dying is a side effect of the elements of nature, if you will, and it's a phenomenon that we all must face someday, but not by our own hands. We were not designed to destroy ourselves or anyone else for that matter. Rest in the assurance, in that assurance. It can be such a difficult fight. Trust me, I know. And sometimes, or rather often, no words can change the way we think, especially when we are facing a severe bout of morbid thinking. Why is my brain, or why are our brains trying to kill us? But let's explore that for a second. Our brains neither have hands nor feet. They cannot leave their abode, and they cannot physically attack us. Now, they affect chemicals which in turn affect how we think and sometimes subsequently what we do. But to even get to that point, the point of taking a physical action, we have to cross much red tape, and those have to be broken deliberately. What I'm saying is that we are in control, not the illness or any form or effect of it. All we have to do is decide that we do not want to harm ourselves and create our own layer of red tape. This also affords us the added benefit of being able to make that tape as strong as we need it to be. You are breathing right now, you are alive right now, you are present right now, you are conscious right now. These all mean that there is hope, room for recovery and leaving the illness behind the right way. The story of the man who invested everything to dig the earth in a spot where he was convinced held a large deposit of gold is a great one. He gave up eventually and sold off his equipment at a fraction of the original cost in an effort to have some redemption for his investment. The new owner decided to continue digging, and within 3 feet he struck gold. The original man stop 3 feet from gold. This example is very valuable to us because it tells us that our own recovery or breakthrough may literally be right around the corner. But unlike the story, making that grievous mistake of stopping prematurely will cost us everything for all eternity. So we have no choice but to make it through. We have to win at all cost, and through enduring all pain and having no vision beyond the seconds in front of you, we must win. Our illness does not have the power to stop or destroy us unless we explicitly give it the power. I'm certain that this is something none of us want to do or will ever want to do. Then what do? We wait. This pain feels overwhelming, but it's not insurmountable. Seeking treatment is paramount, and the medication and treatments are not cheap, but we can achieve it. A mother in shock can see her child pinned under a car and sum up the physical strength to lift the car herself. Whether that popular story is true or not, one thing about it is undeniable, and that is the message that if we need to, we can. I've leaned on family and friends for years. Some of you may not have that luxury, but there are many systems in place to help us. They exist, and they must be sought out fervently as part of our journey to defeat the enemy. At our best, we may be brimming with optimism and pleasant thoughts, but at our worst, we feel like we're facing death's door. But what you have to realize, and realize quickly, is that death is not the danger. Neither is the door, nor the handle to the door. Fear is the danger. Fear is what intends to push us to seek out that handle and to turn it. Don't be afraid of something that cannot hurt you. Regardless of the treatment you're doing, seeking out, or expecting to begin, appreciate that all we are doing right now is waiting for that fight to throw us the weapons and techniques that we will use to win. Understand this, it is vitally important. We are waiting. And what do we do while we're waiting? Exactly what we are meant to do, my friend. Live. Live life because you are alive. You may not enjoy your existence right now. You may feel like a shell or a husk. You may feel empty and aimless. You may feel hopeless and disenchanted. You might feel unwilling to go on or even think about tomorrow. You might think that everything is coming crashing down around you. But know this, you live, you exist. You are not a shell or a husk, but rather full of life. You are not empty or aimless. Your purpose has led you to reading this letter. This is all part of your own journey. You have hope always and abundantly. Go on, because tomorrow will come, and regardless of what you think, tomorrow is a new and different day to every single one that you have lived through thus far in your life. Even if everything does come crashing down around you, you will remain standing because you have the rest of your life to live, and you are expected. Grab depression and morbid thoughts by the horns, face it down and remind it where it belongs. Let it know that it will not be around for much longer, because your treatment will come through and banish the illness. Even if you have relapses, you have been here before, so you know how to deal with it. One might ask, or rather one might think, that I am diminishing the true effect of the illness, that I may not see it for how strong and terrible it really is or can be. That's farthest from the truth. I assure you, I know our kind of depression is rarely situational. I know how it feels to deal with morbid thoughts literally every second of every minute of every day. I have and do experience the full weight of the evil, but I am alive, and so are you. That is no small factor, my friend. You will not feel happy after reading this. I'm not writing it, and I am writing it and thinking that tomorrow someone will find this document after discovering my body and wondering why couldn't he have taken his own advice. But I decide right here and now that that will never happen, because I have decided to embrace and believe the alternative possibility that years from now we will look back and remember how we felt when we first read this, and remember that wasn't the document that saved us. The document is the document, but it is also something in which I have made another declaration for my life, that we will not go quietly into the night. We are too valuable and powerful to let a mere illness take our lives away from us. That we choose life. Whatever your faith, believe in your ability to overcome this speed bump. Depression is not your life. You are not your depression. You are beloved. You are a precious person who is worth more than your illness. You can't feel it now, but joy and happiness are there even now. Wait for it. Fight for it. And I beseech you to seek Christ